Okay, that just about does it with the intro. Welcome to the very first episode of the Fast Pass Podcast Live. My apologies to anyone who may be tuning in or listening to this after the fact. It should be recorded and archived, I believe. It's set up to do that. If not, I will post this. I believe I should be saving it. But I'm talking a little bit faster because I could have swore I had 45 minutes to do this, and it turns out I only have, at the current moment, 12 minutes and 9 seconds to do a live podcast. So that's not a whole lot of time. Normal Fast Pass podcast length, though, but the goal here was to maybe have this open for like 45 minutes here this evening. Well, it's evening where I am. Currently 6:49 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States, so... yeah, and the intro was 3 minutes long. So, excuse me. So the goal here of this was to just have a live podcast where people could tune in and we could chat a little bit about what's going on in the theme park industry and so forth. But looks like as though we're going to have a pretty shortened episode here. The original idea was to possibly do this through Facebook Live. I did share it there, obviously a little late. But the idea was to do it through Facebook Live as well as other streaming services, I guess YouTube and so forth. I believe this should all be streaming live, or maybe it's just posting links. I don't know. First time doing it. So thought I'd try something out. You know, pandemic going on worldwide. It's affecting everywhere. It's getting steadily worse, steadily better, and depending on how you want to look at it. Currently, where I'm located, we have essential businesses only allowed to operate, and that's about it. There's a few counties to the east of us that are at a stay-at-home order, so probably taking guesses in a week or two, that'll be hitting where we're at here. Kind of a rural area, but yeah, they probably will do it out of the abundance of caution and so forth. But nonetheless, all right, so obviously that's the topic everyone wants to talk about here, and the news outlets are talking about it nonstop, obviously, very serious. But normally I try to provide the Fast Pass podcast as a way to have that little bit of an escape, get a little bit of Disney theme park news. But as I said in last week's episode, it's a little dry. Just looking live right now, looks like as though Disney's Animal Kingdom has welcomed a zebra foal and a baby porcupine. Yeah, so obviously they still got to take care of the animals. And recent news was that they are staying closed through April 18th. And it's unclear if it applies to parks around the world, including Paris, Tokyo, Shanghai, and Hong Kong. But yeah, Disney World began closing on Sunday the 15th, and they said they were going to stay closed to the 31st. Obviously, that has taken a little bit longer. And from my experience of both working at the theme parks and kind of getting an idea of the operations, what's interesting to me is when they decide to open back up, it's going to take some time to do that for multiple reasons. I guess that's one of the things I wanted to talk about here in this little bit more off the cuff episode. Was it's not going to be a flip the switch and suddenly the park comes back to life, because you got to, multiple things have to happen. And one of the things that has to happen is they got to get the food back. So that doesn't take a whole lot of time, but whenever you got kind of a food supply chain issue going on, that's one of the factors, I believe. And then the other, so you got to get your food supply stocked back up, which again, that's not that terrible of a thing to do. Yes, it's a lot of food. It's, massive resort with 23 plus resort hotels, all the parks and so forth. So it's not just a, we'll get a grocery delivery from Walmart or whatever, and it'll be good to go. But so that's the first part. The second part is the actual parks. Well, let's back up. So you need to get food. You need to get your lodging as well. So the lodging has to get, fired back up and most likely cleaned. I don't know, and if someone's listening to this after the fact and wants to reach out to me, there's a what am I trying to look here for the word? There's a standard that the parks or the resorts have to be cleaned, as well. Where I work at now in the education realm, the classrooms are getting cleaned. So regardless whether the kids go back this year or not, where I'm at, the rooms still have to be cleaned. So I'm taking it that the same thing's going to have to happen down there. So, now granted, that's a ramping up, that's a behind the scenes, if you will, thing. So even if they said, hey, we're going to open up, this is not a thing. In fact, I'm going to make it up. Let's say they're going to open up Monday. They would have already had to have been working now to get that ready to go. Now, granted, maybe it was already done. Maybe part of their closing procedures. I don't know. So just full caveat there. Not a clue. But I'm, taking it, that's going to have to happen. The parks are going to have to be cleaned. And I'm sure that's all being worked out. I'm not going to get too wrapped around the axle because that's not my job and to worry about. It's somebody else's. But then there's also been some social distancing topics talked about. I believe there's been a few forum posts on a few different Disney forums that the parks, and this also applies to Universal too. I mean, I talk Disney, but again, Universal, they're just up the road, and, competition and so forth is a good thing. But, same deal with them, got to get the hotels back open. Although I don't remember seeing anything about their hotels being closed. And if I didn't have 6 minutes to go in this podcast, I'd probably be a little bit more relaxed in trying to figure that out. But again, so there's that aspect of it, and getting the hotels ready to go, and then getting the parks ready to go, and figuring out the social distancing aspect of it. You also got to look at it from the transportation aspect of it. This is the first time that all of that, the fleet of buses, the monorails, the boats, everything has just stopped. And I know from working there that 24/7, the bus fleet system, whether you like it or not, and has a soft spot in my heart, but we're not going to go into that right now. But you let equipment sit like that, you got to get it back up and running. Now, I have experience with transportation vehicles, all that fun stuff, and it's not like they're all just going to fall apart. By all means, that's not what my goal is here to say, oh my goodness, everything's going to fall apart. That's not a monorail joke or anything like that, for those of you privy to that. But it's more of a, you got to get everything fired back up, make sure everything's ready to go. You got to get, whenever you're using something every day constantly, and then you just stop for a month, even, a week's fine. But usually once it sits long enough, unless you're in there, starting the engines up and moving stuff and run the monorail rails around the loops and stuff, it's not exactly the easy, it's going to take some time. And then, yes, I am aware my time's running out. Sorry, I'm a little ticker here on Spreaker is telling me. So, I'm running out of time. So that's my topic of discussion. I'd like to discuss this a lot more in further details here coming up in a future live podcast. I'm thinking about doing this more often, but yeah, that's what I kind of like to talk to somebody about. Just kind of banter back and forth. So anyone that, tunes in or would like to join me and we can coordinate a time maybe, because it looks like as I'm going to get a lot of time coming up here. I will share that I work technology in K-12 education now, so we are ramping up as well for our aspects, but I'm not going to go into that with 4 minutes and 9 seconds left in the podcast. But yeah, I figured, hey, I'm not going to be doing a weekly podcast, or I'm not going to do a pre-recorded show. Always wanted to try out the live format. Seems to be pretty awesome so far. Seems to be pretty simple. But again, since the parks are closed, there's not really a lot of good, information coming out. Any cast members or former cast members or whatever, I'm feeling for you. I really am hoping for the best for you guys, and I understand you're getting paid, but it's still, depending on how you look at it, it's still not a good time. I can only imagine what you guys are going through. And hearing about also one of the things I want to talk about was whenever I saw the Disney College program, DCP, kids get sent home, that's whenever I figured this was going to be longer than just a few days or weeks or whatever. And I really, my heart goes out to those guys, because that just really, they're really just, I don't know, just kind of really hit me a little bit there whenever that happened, because that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. That's what I did. And I got it first chance, and I know some of those people try, multiple times to get in, and, that could have been it. That was their only shot. So really, really feeling for those people, for those, for all of you that did the DCP, whether, you're in college as a 20 something, or whenever I was there, I was working with somebody well into their 40s or 50s. So, whether or not, hey, that's your shot, that's your, one shot. So hopefully, you get a chance to go back, but I understand, hey, some you just don't get that opportunity again. So, but yeah, so no, that was the other thing too. But yeah, basically, the idea here was just to touch a little bit on what was going on in Disney theme park news. I thought, hey, I thought I had 45 minutes, but apparently it's 15 minutes. But yeah, I'll look into possibly doing this, maybe a Facebook Live thing. I have the equipment to do this as a video format, but I don't think that's really appropriate. Because I don't really have any props. I mean, I do. I have some stuff to talk about. I got my name tags, and I got a pretty, but at any rate, I got some little memorabilia things, stuff like that we could discuss. But, for the time being, we're just going to hold off on that and see how things pan out here. And, I may try to share this and see if anyone else wants to join in with the conversation. And we can chat about Disney and all that good stuff and try to provide a little bit of entertainment here. Like I said, we'll get through this. This is a strenuous time, but hey, whether you're listening in the United States, Europe, Asia, Australia, wherever you may be, we're all in this together. It's some people say it's a scary time, and I'm not going to dispute that, but it's a time that right now we need to be, dealing with the now, doing what keeps us healthy, but also looking forward, and being as calm as we reasonably can about it. If you're in the United States, the toilet paper shortage, oh boy. But yeah, we're not going to go into that. I ordered a case of toilet paper on Amazon before this all started, so I don't know if I saw it coming or what the deal was, but yeah, so I'm good to go. But yeah, sorry about the rushing here, because I just saw we're down to 50 seconds now, 50 seconds left on the clock. So again, try this again. I only get 15 minutes per day using Spreaker. Again, that's the account I use here. Just looked into it. So maybe either I'll look into figuring out a way to do that longer, or maybe doing a Facebook Live thing, or some other way of doing it. But yeah, so for the time being, this is the first inaugural Fast Pass Live podcast. My apologies if you didn't get to tune in, or my apologies again for not sharing that I was doing this at this time. I thought I'd have a little bit more time to be publicizing about it, but things got a little crazy. So, but at this time, we're down to the last 10 seconds here. So, thank you all for listening to this, and stay healthy, be well, and we'll talk to you again here soon on the Fast Pass Podcast.